All right. What is up? Hello. How are you? Hope you're having an awesome day. I want to do a quick sort of a comparison, just some thoughts on Shadow of War versus Assassin's Creed Origins and why I stopped playing both of them. Nothing major on there, but to start, Shadow of War is a major, drastic improvement over Shadow of Mordor. That said, it's also more of the same. Which isn't a bad thing, but what I will say is something I've told people is if you have recently played Shadow of Mordor, or if you've recently played Shadow of Mordor, you'll probably be bored right away jumping into Shadow of War. Or if you haven't already played Shadow of Mordor, skip it and play Shadow of War. And when I said this, one of my buddies, Gilman Griff, he answered, he goes, "What? Shadow of War continues like directly after Shadow of Mordor." And I was like, yeah, but the story isn't anything majorly impressive. You're not going to be like blown away by it or anything. It's good. It's not a bad story, but it's a normal revenge story. It's got cool stuff in it. It does, it's interesting and whatever, but it's nothing. I don't think you're gonna be missing out if you skip Shadow of Mordor and move on to Shadow of War. Also, there's a decent recap when you first start Shadow of War. You get the basic gist of what happened in Shadow of Mordor, so it's not, you're not really missing much. And on top, the main reason for that though is because it's like playing an expansion, but like a damn good expansion. That's why I said that it's a drastic improvement over the original game. Everything is much better. The content, there's more content. The actual Nemesis system majorly improved, because in part 1, the Nemesis system was basically just you can dominate orcs and you make this army, but you never did anything with it. And Shadow of Mordor, you never really did anything with the army. Like, you could send it to attack people. It just wasn't good. This one, you actually have wars. I forget what they're called, but you attack fortresses and you take your army of orcs that you have dominated and you go fight with them. Which still, in the end, basically you're not really, it's more aesthetic or whatever. It's more of like a background noise thing than it is you actually playing them and controlling them, or any offering any tactics or anything like that. I don't mind that. That might be a letdown for some people. I think it's really cool that you go around, you dominate orcs, and you can level them up and and then take them on raids with you. I think that's pretty cool. But in general, the combat's still the same as Shadow of Mordor. And same gameplay with a lot of improvements. The Drake is like the coolest new improvement ever. So overall, I've been wanting to make a mini review or whatever for Shadow of War. I have a ridiculous amount of notes from about 30 to 40 hours of playing it so far, I think, and I still haven't beaten yet, and that's why I haven't done the review. So I'm like, and then I started playing Assassin's Creed Origins because it came out later the same month, which was in October, and then I started playing that, and I started jumping into that game. So I was like, so I just haven't been in a rush to beat Shadow of War. Also, I'm not in the mood to play it right now. I played a ton of it, and it did the same thing that Mad Max did to me. Like, I love Mad Max, but I played it so much in the first week or two that it burnt me out on it, and I was just like, all right, I can't play this anymore. And the biggest reason, it's the same thing over and over and over again. And again, that's why I'm saying, like, Shadow of War is much better than part 1. It's much better. But if you had recently played it or anything, I would say just, it might not be as fun, because it's like kind of just like playing it all over again, sort of like major improvements. Anyways, Assassin's Creed, on the other hand, Origins, to me so far is easily the best Assassin's Creed game I have played. That's just, I don't know, I've seen a lot of complaints from people saying it's not like Assassin's Creed and it's the worst because it doesn't feel like Assassin's Creed. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, to me, it's like it's Assassin's Creed but newer. Usually that's what happens with sequels. Usually, that you make a newer game, you add abilities, you add different elements, and that's what they've done with Origins. It's exactly what they've done with it. So I can sort of understand where people are coming from as far as it not feeling like Assassin's Creed, but at the same time, I do feel like it feels like Assassin's Creed, but it is different. It's completely different. It plays, I've said this a bunch of times in comments to people on different posts around here and there, and I'm like, you know, it plays a lot more like The Witcher 3 than it does previous Assassin's Creed games. So that's why I can sort of understand why people are complaining about it, but at the same time, I mean, most of the Assassin's Creed games that you play, you just run around and stealth kill everybody, right? Right? And then when you enter combat, you just parry kill. You know, so I don't really see why people would complain about this game when it's a clear improvement. You know what I mean? Like, Origins is an improvement. It's definitely better, and every time I think about Origins and I think back about Unity, and how Unity was so ambitious, man. It was just, the world itself was incredible. The design of the world was absolutely amazing, but the game was just really clunky and awkward and stuff. The story was good, and I still want to go back and play and beat it for the story alone, but I haven't. But Origins is definitely a major improvement. It's really cool. It's a full-on RPG, and the loot system is pretty fun. You know, you're always getting loot. You're always getting new weapons, new gear, new weapons and shields and bows. You don't really get armor. Armor is like a separate upgrade system, which is easy to go with and it's fun. But it's a lot more RPG. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. It makes me think of Unity because I remember when I played Unity, it felt like a half-assed RPG upgrade. To me, you know, like you could tell they wanted to do like this RPG system with it, but it wasn't fully polished or fully whatever. It didn't really come out like it should have. As I think the problem with that was maybe they were trying to keep it so close to the previous Assassin's Creed games that when they tried to add RPG elements, they didn't really turn it into an RPG like they did with Origins. Like, Origins fully just changed to an open world RPG game. Plays, like I said, plays more like The Witcher 3 or even Kingdoms of Amalur. But I try not to compare too many games to Kingdoms of Amalur because there aren't many like it. Although I guess you could say like Gothica or Gothic, or I don't know. But I just the artwork and the design of Kingdoms of Amalur is special to me. It's a special game. I'm biased on that one. I don't mean to be, but it's just, that's the best RPG I've ever played. I could also compare that to like something like Skyrim or something. But anyways, so Origins is full on RPG now. Assassin's Creed or RPG. It's not like 1000% RPG. It's just, comparatively speaking, it's an RPG. This is Assassin's Creed RPG style. So there is one major problem I have with Origins, and it's not horrible, but it's noticeable, and it definitely, you know, is a you know, bleh. But the combat in Origins is not bad, but it's also not good. You know, the controls are fine. It controls well enough, right? Like, you know, I can play it and it's fun. Like, I like to play it. But it's one of those games where you have like a certain amount of set moves so that you're always doing the same moves over and over and over and over again. And, you know, the same can be said for Shadow of War, I suppose, and stuff like that. But the main difference between Shadow of War and Assassin's Creed Origins is when you fight multiple enemies. Now, for Assassin's Creed, you still have smoke bombs, and you pretty much need them. It's especially because it's the RPG thing now, and you're fighting characters based on levels rather than just parry, counter, kill everything, right? It's not that simple anymore. Now there's hit points, you know, and more dodging around and stuff, but not Dark Souls dodging where you just spam roll. You don't have to do that, but you don't really parry slaughter everybody with these. And Shadow of War, so Assassin's Creed, you kind of have like 3 attacks. You combo 3 attacks in a row, and then that's it, and then you repeat the same exact 3 attacks in a row. There are upgrades. I think you get up to like 4 attacks in a row, you know, stuff. And there are different moves, but it's mostly the same thing over and over again. So the main difference with that and Shadow of War is just with Shadow of War, when you're fighting multiple enemies, like a whole group of enemies, it's actually way more fun. Shadow of War is far more smooth, and the reason that is because it's built for it. Like, it's designed for you to face an army of enemies and be able to thrash them. Assassin's Creed Origins, not the same way. It's not designed for that. So when you fight multiple enemies, it's a lot more difficult and not in a fun way. Like it's really annoying, especially versus animals. Like they had this stun lock thing where when they attack you, you get blip 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 blip. You know, it's that stun crap. It's really freaking annoying. So in Assassin's Creed Origins, it's definitely better to pick off enemies one at a time. And when you go against like a pack of animals, you got to do some moving around and face one, and you know so that's not as fun. And definitely where Shadow of War has a plus in the combat is just fighting everybody and just being like not even worrying about it. Although you know you can get overwhelmed and you need to run away and stuff, but it's designed for fighting multiple enemies. So that's the number one difference that I have as far as like a preference of what I prefer. I prefer the combat in Shadow of War. It's definitely far more fun to play. But the world of Assassin's Creed Origins, I love the world of Shadow of War, but just the Shadow of War is like it's like I said, it's a lot more Shadow of Mordor, fully upgraded, way better, but it's not quite like, and it's just, when it comes to the world, it's just not as good as Assassin's Creed Origins or any other open world RPG. Like I said, Assassin's Creed Origins actually leans far more towards Witcher 3 or other RPGs where you go around and you're getting different quests and you're doing different stories for different people. And Shadow of War is more focused on this one story. You know, so when you're doing all these objectives, it's the same thing over and over and over again. But this is one reason. I'm gonna get into why I haven't been playing either of these games. This is the same thing for pretty much every open world game. And the many years that I've been playing these games, and I love them. I think they're great, but it's starting to wear on me. And you know, I see people always complaining about fetch quests and stuff, and I don't mind the fetch quests themselves. You know, it's part of the game. You know, you pick up a quest, you go do a mission for them, and then that's it. That's how games play and stuff. As long as you're enjoying it, it's fun and stuff. But they're all kind of the same. You know, they're especially the main difference between Shadow of War, as an example, and Origins is when you're doing side quests in Shadow of War, there's no real story to them. You know, and it's the same, even though it's a different named mission, you're still doing it. It's the same thing. You're acting it out all exactly the same. You know, different mission names. There are different challenges, you know, but it's gameplay-wise, it plays exactly the same. There's nothing that changes. And this is pretty much the same for every open world game as well. You know, you're just doing different missions and you're running around, and as long as it's fun, it's fun. You know, like even Infamous. Infamous is one of my most favorite game series ever, and it's also like that. These open world games where they're just do this mission here, do this mission here, do this mission here, do this mission here. You know, so whatever. And I didn't realize this until recently when I picked up Mario Odyssey on the Switch, and it didn't even hit me until I was playing through it, and I was just having so much fun, and I was like, wait a second, you know, the reason games like that, Nintendo games in general, are so much fun is because they're always changing. You're never just doing the same thing over again. Even when you're platforming, like, it's a different level, you're different challenges, there are different things that you're dodging around, there are different things that you have to do and go, and it's always a different, even if it's a small puzzle or whatever, it's always different. Always. But no, and most general RPG, you know, open world games that we play now, it's just the same thing over and over and over again. Even if it's fun, it is fun. Like, as long as you enjoy the game, it's really fun. You know, I even think of like the Batman Arkham games. You know, you just run around and you're beating people up. You know, that's fun. But Batman. I didn't really get to open world until City and Arkham Knight. But I think if I were to compare Batman Arkham to these games, I would say it might be a little bit better as far as side missions, but this is why I'd have to think about that one. But generally speaking, all these open world games, it's the same thing over and over again. So, and that, I don't know, that's not really a problem. It's just when you play so many of them, right? You know, when you just keep playing these open world games, and the world is amazing, the world is really cool, I like the characters, but gameplay wise, it's the same thing over and over and over again. And until I started playing Mario Odyssey on the Switch, I didn't even realize, like, I don't know why it took me so long. I think mostly just because I've been playing these games for so long, you know, and then come across Mario Odyssey, and this happened on the Wii U too. Like, I was playing the Mario 3D World and Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and I had noticed, you know, it was a lot of fun. But it didn't really hit me until Mario Odyssey, because Mario Odyssey is super different. But I didn't mean to get into that, though, because this isn't like a Assassin's Creed versus Shadow of War versus Mario Odyssey kind of thing. It just, that's what I think of when I, you know, it's partly why I stopped playing these games, is because, you know, like, they're cool. They're freaking cool games. I like them. You know, and when I'm in the mood, I will go play that and be like, wow, this is awesome, you know. But especially lately, just, I'm old and played these games a million times over now. It's, you know, I just get bored quicker. I get bored quicker. That's all. The games are really, I mean, you know, I've gotten out of both these games at least 40 hours, I think. Pretty sure. I'm playing on PS4, so I don't have like an hour tracker thing. I think the saves show. I don't remember. Well, I haven't looked, so. But I'm guessing probably at least 40 hours each. I've played a ton of them. So, you know, that's a lot of good gameplay, good hours out of a game, and they were enjoyable. I didn't hate it, you know. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. Yeah, it's where I'm at now, where I'm just kind of like, everything's the same, you know. And then I was like, thank you, Mario Odyssey, for giving me something different, you know. But yeah, so that kind of, I didn't mean to do that and go off track. I might make another video. Let me know if you're interested. I might go into my actual in-depth notes for Shadow of War. I have a book on it almost, you know. So I mostly just wanted to say, like, they're both good games. The combat in Shadow of War is much better. The world and Origins is better than Shadow of War. So better combat Shadow of War, better world Assassin's Creed Origins. That's the big picture for me when I look at it. That's what I think of. Combat's better here, world's better here. Both great games, though, in general. You know, both very cool. Definitely dig them. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And if you have any questions, ask away. I will get back to you. That's my plan. Start doing like Q&A and videos or something. I don't know. But I will get back to you. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.